Southeast Radio's morning mix.
Southeast Radio.
All right, you asked for it, and we hopefully can get some clarification for you, because you were certainly confused. In fact, 80% of you were confused when we asked you the question on Monday. You said weren't 100% happy that you knew exactly what was going on. So let's look at the referendums today. I'm joined by SETU lecturer in world religions from Wexford, Colette Colfer. You're very welcome to the studios of Southeast Radio, Colette.
Thanks, Alan. Lovely to be here.
And Dr. Ray Griffin, who is senior lecturer in management and organisations, also in SETU, and you're based in Waterford, isn't that right, Ray?
I am indeed.
And you've
for my sins.
You've regularly come into the studio and caused havoc for me here when you're here. So we're going to look at the referendum then. And first off, I'm going to look and I'm going to read the proposed change to Article 41.1, which says the state recognises the family, whether founded on marriage or on other durable relationships, as a natural, primary and fundamental unit group of society, and as a normal institution possessing inalienable and imprescriptible rights, antecedent and superior to all positive law. Proposed change to Article 41.3.1 by deleting the text shown with the line through it. The state pledges itself to guard with special care the institution of marriage and to protect it against attack. Colette, even within what I've just read out there is confusion for people.
We're all confused. The reality is nobody knows what a durable relationship is, when it begins, when it ends, who it is involved. Can it be with multiple partners at the same time? Is it between a parent and children? Or in European law, durable relationships are considered to be akin to marriage. Obviously, a single parent and a child would not be included under that definition. I would say, like, if you, the listeners, like me, don't know what is meant by a durable relationship or its consequences, you should vote no, because this is our constitution.
All right.
We should know what we're talking about.
And your assessment of what I've just read out there, Ray?
So, yes, it is complicated legal text, but it really breaks down to, is a family just a family made by marriage, or are there other types of family in our society? And voting yes extends the constitutional protection to other types of family beyond those made by marriage.
Now, can I come back to you in more detail on this? So, Colette, I'll come to you first off. Can you briefly and as simply as possible set out your position on what I've just read out in the first suggested change, the family amendment, please?
My main issue with this is the lack of clarity that's coming from the government. There is so much confusion. Part of the reason there is so much confusion is that this was rushed through. There was no pre-legislative scrutiny. The debates were guillotined, meaning they were cut short. A freedom of information request was put in to ask for the meeting details of the interdepartmental groups, and that was refused. So we don't even know what the government themselves were saying or why they chose this wording. As a result of that, none of us seem to know. Like, if a man is in a marriage, has an affair, we say, this is an example, has an affair that lasts for 5 years, is he then in two families at the same time? Because that affair, if it lasts for how long? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, is that a durable relationship? In which case, does that woman then have rights to his assets? If there's a farm involved, what about the farm? What about the businesses? I would also like to stress, there isn't a simplistic idea that children will be excluded. Every child in Ireland, thankfully, has equal rights under Article 42A of the Constitution as it stands. So I would say as well that people sometimes assume, if you're voting no in this, you're voted no to the last ones, and you're just like conservative. I voted yes to same-sex marriage. I voted yes to the legalisation of abortion. I just think there's too much confusion out there about this amendment, and that if you don't know, vote no.
All right, Ray, so your opposite stance to this, because you are quite clearly stating to me that you're going to vote yes.
I am, and for me it's quite simple, in that families are messy. You know, they're not always neat, simple, built on marriages that last forever. There's lots of second relationships. There's lots of grandparents, and even when Eamon de Valera and Archbishop McQuaid wrote this back in 1937, it was not the way Irish families were organised. There was multi-generational households with a male breadwinner, and women typically rearing children in the home. But those types of families were actually quite a small form of family. There was loads of other complicated families, and in reality, administration all over Irish life has to deal with the messiness of contemporary families in our tax system, in our social welfare system, in our family courts, in employment rights. They've ignored this provision because it's kind of like it's not practical. And to speak to Colette, some of the situations Colette kind of raises, if people have multiple different relationships in different periods of their life, of course that's complicated. And our constitution needs to reflect that complexity and free up, like I'm basically arguing this provision is ignored, but free up administrators and our law, because this isn't law, this is just the principles, so that they can reflect contemporary types of relationships.
You're nodding your hair and your head even, and you're anxious to get in very quickly there, Colette.
Nobody knows if they are or are not in a durable relationship. You know if you're married.
I haven't even mentioned durable relationship yet. I was getting onto that, but anyway, go ahead there. Yeah.
The idea that you know if you're married, you ask somebody, "Will you marry me?" You go through a ceremony. There's a certificate. You don't say to somebody, "Will you durable relationship me?" It's something that kind of happens organically. So, also people sometimes actually want to opt out of being married. They don't want to get married. There's reasons for that. How can you opt out of being in a durable relationship? Yeah. You know what I mean? Am I in a durable relationship with my son? Am I in a durable relationship with my friends? Am I in a durable relationships, all over the different aspects of my life? Who's going to decide? Is it the courts? I don't think it should be the courts, because and even not Simon Harris, Micheál Martin was on prime time last night, and he was asked, what about a child who has a foster parent? Are they in a durable relationship? And Micheál Martin's response was, it'll be up to the courts to decide. So even Micheál Martin does not know what a durable relationship is.
I have to refer back to a comment that was made by John Murphy from John A. Sinnan Co-Solicitors on the show yesterday, where he believes, first of all, he wants to question the cost of all of this. And then the question he asked Ray was, would the money being spent on this not have been better used for operations? I think he mentioned spinal operations, one John referred to.
And we should close Wexford Opera House and put that into spinal operations. You can always make that case about our society. Like, democracy is expensive. Asking people for their views is expensive, but it is very worthwhile, because if you look at the alternative in countries that have less democratic action, they're not the societies we'd like to be part of. So I think there's value in asking the question, and also to go back to the issue of durable relationships, I think a lot of people have messed this up in explaining it.
You explain it from your side.
Come on.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear.
Because I think we'd all like to know what a durable relationship is.
So, in the Department of Social Protection, which deals with durable relationships on people who aren't married but are clearly living together in different forms of situations, the definition of a durable relationship they use is if you have children, if the relationship is more than 2 years old, and if there's no children, 5 years old. And that has consequences then for your social welfare payments.
So single-parent families aren't included in that definition?
I suppose, and this is what happens in administrative systems, is when you're confronted with a practical difficulty of, giving students their SUSI grants, or marital breakdown, or the house of somebody who's deceased without leaving a will, who died intestate, and they weren't married. Each of the administrators administrative systems has had to form its own set of rules that are sensible and humane and reflect what we aspire to in a society, and they've kind of ignored this provision in our constitution. So in practice, we have changed to recognise all kinds of families. We just have this really arcane language in our constitution.
Okay, I'm going to have to take a short commercial break and then come back with part 2 of the referendum. So I'll just get you, Colette, to round off. But I'm going to let you go first, Ray, as to why we should have the yes vote. And just to summarise the first part of this, which is the family amendment change.
So really, for me, voting yes is about extending constitutional protection to non-marital families, which are a quarter of all households in our society, and single parent households, single father households, and we have a shameful history in our society of not recognising those type of families, and this is really a symbolic, principled stance to vote yes.
We'll draw a breath and go on to the second part of the amendments in just a second, but why should we vote no for this one in relation to the family amendment, Colette?
The government don't know what a durable relationship is. The public don't know what a durable relationship. Nobody knows when it begins, when it ends. Who does it involve? Can it be with friends? Does it have to be akin to a marriage? Can it be single parent families? We don't know. If we don't know, it's really important that we vote no, because this is our constitution. And if this is rushed through, it's already been rushed through, but if this goes through, it's going to cause chaos.
Right, I thank you both for sharing your views on part one of the amendment, and to me, just listening to you, I think you clarified it extremely well. Whether people want to vote yes or vote no, at least you've shed some light on something which is causing so much confusion. The next question is, can you do the same with part two of the referendum? Let's find out after this break.
Southeast Radio's Morning Mix, brought to you with thanks to Joyce's Expert Wexford, Joyce's Expert and Whirlpool ovens with 6 Sense intelligent cooking.
Big achievements start with small steps. Take your first step today and register for the VHI Women's Mini Marathon on Sunday, June 2nd. Walk, jog or run your way to the finish line and be part of something big. Sign up at vhiwomensminimarathon.ie.
Experience excellence at K&K Windows in Cranford, Gorey. Proud recipients of the Business All-Stars Award for 6 consecutive years. Trust in their unmatched expertise for all your window needs. Quality, reliability and style come standard. Elevate your home today. Visit kkwindows.ie for more information. Your dream home is just a click away.
The County Wexford Chamber Business Awards 2024 will take place in Clayton White's Hotel on Friday, May 24th. The awards are free to enter and open to all businesses across County Wexford. There are 18 highly acclaimed awards, as well as the prestigious County Wexford Overall Business of the Year Award, sponsored by Integer. Enter your business and showcase your contribution to the local economy, as well as getting recognition for your hard-working staff. Entry is simple. Check out wexfordbusinessawards.ie for full details.
Learn to dance the quick and easy way with Dancing with Declan. It's the perfect opportunity if you're thinking of giving it a go. We specialise in jive, quick step, line dancing and lots more. We're in Knockanana, Wicklow on Mondays, Oilgate, Wexford on Tuesdays, the Woodford Dolman Hotel Carlow on Wednesdays and the Old Courthouse Shillelagh on Thursdays. No partner or booking required. Under 18s are half price, under 13s and over 80s are free. So if you want to dance, here's your chance. Contact Dancing with Declan on 085 70 89 128 or follow us on Facebook or Instagram.
Chat, news and your views. Southeast Radio's Morning Mix.
We still have in studio with us from SETU, Lecturer in World Religions, from Wexford, Colette Colfer. We also have Dr. Ray Griffin, SETU, Lecturer in Management and Organisations, who to his shame is not from Wexford, but we'll adopt him for today anyway. We've looked at part one, which was the family amendment, focusing on the definition of a family, broadening it out from simply being based on marriage. The other referendum question, the care amendment, proposes the removal of references to the role of women in the home from the Constitution. Those references would then be replaced with a broader recognition of the care provided by all family members. We started with Colette the last time, so we're going to go with you this time, Ray. Why should people vote yes for this?
Well, I suppose it's to remove what I consider to be sexist, anachronistic language that kind of describes women as having a special place in the home, and even though there's a kind of positive dimension to it, which is that they wouldn't have economic necessity to work outside the home. But it's the final phrase that for me is the real kicker, to the neglect of their duties in the home. So essentially saying that women have special responsibilities that men don't share, or other carers, grandparents, in the home. And I suppose in 1937, when the Constitution was framed, there was no women in the room. It was written by 3 very conservative men, and the new provision reflects the actual work that is done in the home. And I know it doesn't go as far as a lot of people would like in giving new obligations on the state to look after carers, but that's not the question we're being asked on Friday. Really, on Friday it's very limited. Should we remove this sexist language?
And that's it in a nutshell. That's the way you see it then. That's the way you simplify it. Because this again has caused, when you look at the official wording, the way I've described it is in the easiest way possible to follow it. But when you actually look at the way it's written, you can understand people being confused.
It is, and what's confusing it more is that people wanted stronger wording on carers being protected and having economic obligations on the state to look after carers. And the politicians haven't given us that choice on Friday. So there's a significant number of people campaigning on the referendum we didn't get, rather than dealing with the one we have.
I want to bring in Colette in a second, but I have a question for you. This listener says, I'm not old school, but will we lose our moral and respect for one another if yes is voted? Clearly will confuse young people, and by voting yes, they will have no moral for one another. Sure, everyone is plodding away and doing their stuff anyway and are surviving, so why have it on paper? Do you want to just answer that, Ray?
Well, I suppose the question is, should Irish people change to fit into this strange wording in our constitution, or should the constitution work for the way people live now?
Yeah. Right, and then a follow-up to this is, so why have it on paper? The paperwork that has come with advocacy for people with severely intellectual disabilities is horrendous. So imagine the court's paperwork. We will all crack up, wasting money, put it into our housing, hospital care, education, etc. A bit like what John said yesterday about put the money, scrap this and use the money to get operations across the line.
Yeah, and I suppose I'm not particularly interested in how this referendum came to be, but every person in Ireland with a vote has the right to use it next Friday. Yeah. And they've been asked this question. So you have three choices: not to turn up, which I think a lot of people will do, or to vote yes or no. And I just really would encourage people to engage with what they're being asked to do.
Now, Ray has had a chance to respond. He's outlined why he wants a yes vote when it comes to the care amendment. Why are you favouring a no vote, Colette?
For many reasons, but I'd like to point out that first of all, we live at a time when it's considered sexist to even acknowledge differences between the sexes, and I disagree with this. One of the reasons behind the push for this referendum is to make our constitution a gender-neutral constitution, but motherhood is not gender-neutral. It is women who do the vast majority of care in the home. I would have welcomed the inclusion of fathers or primary carers. However, what we are voting on Friday is to delete the only reference to mothers in the Irish Constitution. The word fathers will be left in, by the way, in a separate part. But if at the moment the government endeavours to ensure that women or mothers should not be obliged by economic necessity to work outside the home to the neglect of the duties in the home. Now, some people see this as sexist, but I would argue that we do have duties. Once you have a home, once you have children, there are duties and responsibilities that come with that. It's not sexist. It's not anachronistic or outdated to say that. So I think vote no if you don't want the acknowledgement of mothers to be taken away. And the other thing, it's going to be replaced with Article 42B, which gives absolutely no enforceable rights to carers and no rights to people with disabilities.
Do you want to counteract that, Ray? Do you agree or disagree with it? Obviously, you're not in your head, so you disagree.
Yeah, I suppose the Constitution is really a statement of our principles. It's not the word of law. Now, it is important, but it's more symbolic and it's more at a statement level. I'd ask, what has this language actually done for mothers, and what special protections has it produced? Because we had the withdrawal of the marriage bar, we have gender pay, a lot of efforts to close the gender pay gap and to make a more equal society. And as a result of, so that's the way our society has been going, and I think it's just important the language will be changed to reflect that.
I have a comment from Anne who says, if the Constitution recognises a woman's work in the home, who's going to pay her wages?
I think more supports need to be there for women and for mothers and for carers too, in fact. The questions about what supports are there for women at the moment. There is maternity leave. We don't know what's going to happen to maternity leave if this amendment is passed.
Oh, well, I think that's very unfair, because maternity leave has been increased.
I want to make another point, though, because you said there that there's no benefits that we don't know that there's benefits, but there are benefits. And this article in the Constitution, 41B, was 41.2 was used in the Murphy case in 1980, which was about taxation, where for taxation in a married couple, and it was also used in another case for alimony, where a separated couple, and Article 41.2 was used to support the woman for maintenance reasons. We also don't know what's going to happen with child welfare. Automatically goes to the mother at the moment. Right. Automatically. Yeah. So there are potential implications.
Here's an interesting one from Bridget. She says, if a yes vote, can asylum seekers relocate their family members here under the new Act?
I think that's a bit of a red herring. I know a number of groups have kind of suggested that, but it is a very fringe view. So we had a referendum 15, 20 years ago on recognition of children and their rights to kind of be hauled across, and that has been very clear.
Okay. All right, I'm going to have to wrap it up. I'm going to let you want to make another point before I get your summary on this one, please.
I want to make another point, and that is that women and mothers are being erased not just from the Constitution but other laws. The HSE, instead of stating women in their cervical check literature in 2019, wrote person with a cervix. Gender neutral language is getting rid of acknowledgement of women and of mothers. In the UK, a maternity ward had gender neutral language, and they referred to mothers as clients. I want the acknowledgement and recognition of the role of mothers kept in the Irish Constitution.
I think you concluded the last time, so no.
I think I did.
You concluded, so you concluded. So I'm going to let Colette conclude this time. So your reason when it comes to the referendum, this particular question, the care amendment, why should people vote yes?
So I think it's really important to vote yes, to acknowledge the broader role that women have in our society. Women's place is wherever they want it to be, whether it's in the workplace, in education, or in the home. And I also think we should be striving for a more equal society, and even though caring responsibilities in the home are not gender equal in practice, that's not to say it should be said in our Constitution.
And finally, Colette, then, as we thank you both for joining us in studio, and hopefully you've clarified it. I know listening to you've clarified it to me, who has been trying to fathom it as well, like everybody else. So why should we vote no when it comes to the care amendment?
A woman's place is wherever she wants it to be. Women want to be in the Constitution and acknowledged in the Constitution. 86% of lone parent families are headed by women. A gender-neutral constitution is a neutered constitution. It's lacking vitality, wisdom and maturity. The acknowledgement currently being given to mothers and women will be taken away, and no enforceable rights will be given to carers or to people with disabilities. Again, in relation to both, I would say if you don't know, vote no. And I would echo Ray's statement, it's a democracy, it's fantastic, we're having these debates, and to encourage people to come out and vote whatever way they're voting. And thank you for having us on, Alan.
Not at all. Thank you for joining in studio and shedding so much important light on this. Our thanks to Colette Colfer, lecturer in world religions, and Dr. Ray Griffin, lecturer in management and organisations. Now it's up to you, but I think we're all agreed in this studio. Our grandparents, they fought for this, for the right to vote. Exercise your right, whether it be yes or no, but exercise your right and vote this coming Friday for the referendum. Thank you both for joining me in studio.
Thank you so much.